everyone and welcome back to my channel. I thought that I would do a video today where I go through some of my most important content creation tools and basically the tools that I am using all the time as a content creator that I really can't live without. I don't think I've really done one of these videos before. I've talked about some of the equipment that I use in previous videos, but I haven't really highlighted the things or the pieces of equipment that really do make my life easier and really that are essential to me as a content creator. And if you do hear any tapping around or munching, it's my dogs behind me and they're deciding that they want to congregate in the lounge room specifically today. So you will hear them quite often. So anyway, today I really wanted to highlight some of those pieces of equipment because I know that these kinds of videos can be helpful if you are starting out with content creation. You're not really sure what you might need in terms of some basics, but even, I mean, it's not necessarily that this is a recommendation video to go out and get these pieces of equipment, but sometimes it's nice to have a few starting points when you're researching equipment to see what other content creators are using and what they feel is kind of something they can't live without. And it might give you the opportunity to go and test out some of these products, maybe in store if you are interested in any of them, or ask further questions. Feel free to let me know any questions that you do have down in the comment section below because I would love to answer them. And I just realized I've got a hair tie around my wrist and I do this all the time. Literally, even as a photographer and doing beauty portraits and other portraits, I'll never pick up the fact that the model has a hair tie around their wrist and then I always have to Photoshop it out later. It is literally my toxic trait. But also I do this all the time in my videos and then I have these big scrunchies around my wrists. And sometimes I'm like, Kaylee, why do you do this? But anyway, moving on, we're going to get straight into the video now. So the first thing that I really can't live without as a content creator, and this is going to probably come as no surprise to anyone, and that is my iPhone. Now, I use an iPhone 13 Pro. I have not upgraded to a more recent iPhone. I think I got this one back in early 2022, but obviously having a smartphone is invaluable as a content creator. Now, you don't need to necessarily go out and get an iPhone specifically because I know a lot of people have their thoughts on Android versus Google versus Apple, whatever. I don't really have a super large preference either way, to be honest. I have owned Samsung phones and I have owned Apple phones and I've really loved both of them. The one thing I will say is that ever since switching to Apple, I have found that some of the integrations and apps that you can get as a content creator, I do feel they tend to run a little bit more smoothly. I feel like the integrations more so, even things like Instagram and posting to Instagram. And I think this comes down to sometimes optimization for Apple apps versus Android apps, which cover a very large array of phones, obviously, whereas Apple apps are obviously only covering iPhones. So I think that there are some optimization difficulties there with certain apps, and you might find with being a content creator and a lot of social media, things like Instagram, there might be a little bit of a difference in how smoothly the integrations are, but overall you're really going to be fine with lots of different smartphones out there. I personally still use my iPhone 13 because it is still in really good working order. I find really nothing wrong with it at the moment, except my battery is just starting to drop a bit, as it does after the first few years of using it, and it has done with lots of phones that I've owned before. But otherwise, my phone is really integral to being a content creator. I have started doing a lot more short form content in which I have been filming using my phone. And even beforehand, when I was doing a lot of my travel short form content for Kaylee Journeys, I was using my phone primarily for a lot of the reels that I was posting to TikTok and Instagram and for even a lot of the photos. And it's just really easy access to have something in your pocket all the time where you've got a video camera and you can easily pick up content when you need to. I think it's essential as a content creator to obviously have a phone, but I know that smartphones can be expensive too. So if you can't necessarily afford an iPhone or a Samsung, I would highly recommend looking into secondhand smartphones or even like older models. So for example, I've got the iPhone 13 Pro and you could probably pick one of those up a lot cheaper than maybe the iPhone 16 at the moment. So I think you'll probably have a much better chance of getting a cheaper phone that way. But I know a lot of content creators or aspiring content creators are under the impression that you need to have really expensive equipment for content creation. That is simply not true, and a smartphone will take you a long way. Not to mention my entire life is in here in terms of organization, my scheduling, looking at analytics, you know, things on the go. Everything is really just going to come down to the smartphone. So Definitely recommend if you do not already have a smartphone, which I'm probably assuming there won't be too many of you out there. But if you don't, I would highly recommend looking into it and potentially investing in something that is really going to make your life easier as a content creator. Now, something else that is going to make your life easier is having a social media scheduling platform. And I'm really pleased to announce that today's video is actually sponsored by Metricool, who you might have heard about before on my channel. As I mentioned, if you have been watching my channel regularly, you'll know that I talk about Metricool all the time and how it has changed my entire process of content creation and just improved my workflow significantly. Metricool is an all-in-one social media scheduling and analytics platform, which means whether you're posting content to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and plenty more, you'll be able to post and track your content from one place. I really believe as a content creator that it's so important to have a platform that really can help you with your efficiency and organization, and that's really where Metricool comes in. One of my personal favorite features of Metricool is the hashtag search. This allows you to research the highest performing hashtags within your niche and then allows you to save them for later in the save text function. This saves me so much time when I'm getting my captions ready for Instagram and TikTok especially, and it also ensures that I'm able to get the best possible reach for my posts. Another thing that I've been really loving lately with Metricool, especially since I've been getting into a lot more short form content, specifically with this channel and this particular brand, is that I can post my short form content once to Metricool and then simply select the social media icons for the other social media sites that I want to share it to, so whether that's TikTok and Instagram or YouTube as well. And this option then eliminates the need to go and post individually to each of these social media sites, which I used to do, and it took me so much more time setting everything up for each social media site. So to be able to do this from one place is so efficient. Metricool not only saves me time with my content creation process, but it also allows me to stay on top of my content and ensures that I have the best insights into how my content is performing. So if you're interested in checking out Metricool for free, make sure to click the link in the description box below and use the code Kaylee for 30 free days off any paid plan. A huge thank you again to Metricool for sponsoring this video. And now let's move on to the next piece of equipment that I can't live without as a content creator. And the next piece of equipment I can't live without is the DJI Osmo Pocket. Now, this is a slightly older version to what is currently out there now. I think the third version is available. However, this little pocket rocket camera, I'm going to call it, is incredible. It really is. As a content creator, it is like my right-hand man. It is something that I can bring with me absolutely everywhere. It is not too bulky and heavy like some of my other cameras. And as a photographer, I know what heavy cameras are like, and I know how many heavy cameras I've had to carry around in the past, whether that be traveling or, doing jobs, whatever it is. So this is literally a breath of fresh air. It is so easy to use. It is a camera. For those of you who don't really know what this is, it obviously doesn't look like much at first glance, but you'll see that there's a small screen on there. I believe the third version has a much bigger screen, so you'll be able to see it even better. It also has a gimbal for the camera, so everything is very, very stabilized and you're not going to get too much shakiness, which is amazing. So many different options on here, especially for vlogging, and if you want your camera to follow you, or you can change up the perspective a little bit. It is great. I can obviously turn the camera on myself, and then I can switch it around to the front as well. So the really good thing about this camera is that it is so stealth-like, and I can take it into places as a vlogger that a lot of people may feel uncomfortable taking cameras into, for example. So I know that there's a lot of aspiring content creators and vloggers out there who are just kind of like a little bit scared of doing public vlogging, and I get it because it can be nerve-wracking to kind of whip out a camera in certain places, and obviously there's always going to be places that you don't want to do that in, but for when you're first getting started with vlogging and you want to build up a little bit more confidence, this is great because no one really can tell at first glance that it's even a camera, so it kind of makes you feel a little bit more confident about bringing it with you. So if you do have any kind of like public vlogging fears, I really feel like this is so good. You can shoot from the hip a little bit as well if you're still a little bit worried about fully vlogging and speaking to the camera, but again, the quality for this is wonderful. It can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, and I'm not exactly sure what the newest specs are for the newest version, but I'm sure they've improved it even more since a couple of years ago when we got this one. I think we got this one maybe at the beginning of 2022, I think. But it's seriously awesome. I have taken it all around the world with me. It's just such a powerhouse little camera, and I highly recommend it if you are looking for a vlogging camera that is, again, kind of stealth-like. It's lightweight and you just want something to kind of go with maybe another camera that you've got. Maybe you have a bit more of a higher quality, bigger camera, and you want something small on the side that you can just whip out and easily start vlogging with. This is incredible for that. So highly recommend it. It has been something that I've used constantly over the last 3 to 4 years. And if you're interested in the quality in general of the Osmo, definitely go over to my other YouTube channel, Wonder Walkers, that I have with my partner Dan. We do lots of travel vlogs through there. We've been using this camera primarily for the last few years, so you can go out and check the quality of the camera there if you like. Again though, I'm pretty sure the newest version has been new and improved, so it'll probably be even better now, and I think it handles low light now a bit better, the newest version. This one doesn't handle low light too well, so that's its one downfall I have found. It gets very grainy, and unfortunately it just doesn't perform very well in low light, but I believe the newest version is a lot better with that, so definitely go and check it out. It also has a microphone piece. I can't remember if that came in the combo pack that we originally purchased or whether that automatically came with it. I think it might have been part of the combo as an extra cost, but again, there's so many little gadgets and that you can buy for it as well to get it even more versatile and cool, so highly recommend that one. The next piece of equipment that I'm going to talk about today is the Insta360 Flow, and I have done a video about this, I believe, on my other channel, but you can see here, this is actually an electronic gimbal. You can charge it and it is perfect for popping your phone on there. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration of how this works. The phone kind of fits onto the middle there, and then there we go. So everything is kind of automated there. This is so good for shooting with. It actually comes with its own app, with the Insta360 app, and it's really good for photographing, for doing video content. I use this all the time, actually as a tripod as well when I'm doing my short form content, and when I want kind of like a smooth transition of things or smooth kind of filming. This is perfect for that. I'll just show you as well how the tripod works, because that's at the bottom. And the legs come out like this. So it basically just sits on the table like that. And it is really just like an all-in-one kind of gimbal. It gives you everything you need: stability, gives you the tripod, gives you a way to actually just easily record from here as well on the keypad. It's really wonderful for any of your phone content. So I feel like this is definitely worth the investment if you're looking at getting something a little bit fancier for your content creation kit, or if you want a little bit more of an all-in-one thing like this without having to go and buy an extra tripod. This is really good. Obviously you can't adjust the tripod too much on this one, so it depends what you're after, but this is really, really handy for me when I'm filming all of my short form content. At the moment, I am using it all the time. It's a really, really nifty piece of gear. It also folds up quite small as well, and it's pretty easy to travel with, which is, again, really handy, really efficient. And now moving on to the last piece of equipment I'm going to talk about today, and that is actually the camera I'm using right now to film this video. So I actually use the Panasonic Lumix S5, and I've been using this camera for a few years now. I think I might have gotten it back in like 2020, 2021. I actually did a brand collaboration with Panasonic on this particular camera for my other photography channel, and I have loved using it ever since. It's been so good for my video content creation. It has a flip out screen, and I'm going to show you all this in B-roll because I'm actually using it to film the video, obviously, but it is wonderful. It has a flip out screen on the side of the camera, which I really prefer because not all mirrorless cameras actually have the side flip out camera. Some of them are in weird positions, and I don't always love that. So that's one thing that I do really love about it, especially for vloggers and content creators. It makes it so easy. The quality is incredible. It really is just that perfect kind of mid-range camera for a lot of content creators out there who are looking to do more video content. I do use it for photography as well, for a lot of my landscape photography, because it is a little bit more lightweight, and I prefer to take a mirrorless camera rather than my DSLR camera when I'm going traveling because it's too heavy. And this particular camera is really lightweight for that, but also works doubly as a video camera really well, and the specs are wonderful for that. So I really love this camera because it's a very good all-rounder camera. It's not necessarily your top of the line one, but it's also not the cheapest one definitely on the market. It's still got a lot of power in it. And I highly recommend it if you are getting into more photography or video. As a content creator, you want that sort of next step up, that next level up, and you really want a little bit more quality. I find that it's really reasonably priced as well compared to some of the Sony cameras and Canon cameras out there, the mirrorless cameras. Obviously, Sony and Canon are amazing and they have an incredible mirrorless range. But if you're looking for something that is still quite reasonable price-wise, but it still packs a real punch with its specs, the Lumix S5 is definitely a really good option. Although I do believe, I think they're up to maybe the S5 II, maybe the S5 III now. I'm not really sure. Haven't been keeping up with that specifically, but there's probably a newer version available. But again, if you don't really necessarily have the money to invest in a more expensive version of this camera, highly recommend just going for the S5 if you can find one secondhand or even brand new online. I think they're really, really great for the price, even though these are a little bit more of a pricier camera. But if you're looking to get that next step up with your content, I definitely recommend the Lumix S5. Well, thank you so much for watching this video today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one. Let me know down in the comment section below what equipment you can't live without as a content creator. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas around this and what you personally use that you can't live without, that is just so essential in terms of equipment or platforms that you use. I would love to hear all of that in the comment section below. And let me know if you have any of these pieces of equipment, because I'd also like to know if you also use these things or you use anything similar. Definitely let me know all of that in the comments. Another quick reminder, if you're interested in checking out Metricool, make sure to click the link in the description box below and use the code Kaylee for 30 free days off any paid plan. And also make sure to hit the notification bell to see all the updates that I have coming up on my channel. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.